Good morning or good evening, everyone, depending on when you're listening to this. This is Dr. Charles Clough, Senior Minister for Church of Truth Center for Awakening Consciousness, where we are open to new ways to experience and see God and to form a relationship with others in the way that they see and experience God. We are meeting through transcription again, and this way that we'll verbally connect. It looks like with the increase of the virus, we're not going to be meeting in our facility for a while. And so you'll have an opportunity to just imagine our sanctuary and what it's like when we meet together. But for now, there are things that I think will be helpful for us to think about in the locations where we are. God, of course, is everywhere we are, and there's no separation, actually even now, between myself and you. There's a spirit connection that's exact and perfect. The 4th of July took several variant directions last week. The more traditional patriotic people connected to the birth of our independence by focusing on its roots, the beginning. The more progressive patriotic folks saw us as still in the process of creating our freedom. Of course, we have the original freedom, and we have the freedom we're still struggling to make more perfect and more whole for everyone who's a citizen and a part of our country. We did break away from Britain controlling our present and future, only to find the future was not formed yet. From then on, we would be becoming what our nation was going to be, and we still are. Breaking away is not always easy, nor is finding where we want to be when we do. Isn't this a picture of a life? We are always moving from one thing to another, letting one thing go to make room for something else. Don't we wish it was easy to do that? Why can't we readily see what we need to let go of so we can more quickly morph into something that is much better for us and those around us? Why do we attach to what is really not that good for us? Breaking free to move ahead is something I think we all want to be able to do. I always feel a little sorry for a dog chained to a post, jumping around wanting to be free. It seems oblivious to the chain or rope it is tied to, only seeing where it wants to go. When pulling on the rope, its eyes are toward the direction it is already starting to go, but the rope stops him. There are several reasons we hold ourselves back, but we do not have a rope holding us in place. It's our own minds. What we see or think we see, and what we believe or think we believe, keep us tied up, sometimes actually tied up in knots. One important example of how we let ourselves be roped is what we allow ourselves to be bothered by. In counseling sessions, it was so common to have someone share being in a good mood until someone said something else. Here's a common quote. I was having a great positive day until so-and-so said something, and then my whole day was ruined. It was all interesting that the person could not see he or she was letting someone else determine how their day would go. It is so important to realize how we respond to things like that related to our own personal issues and how they affect us. It's us that allows these things to bother us. Most of how someone treats us has to do with their own personal issues, not things related to us. Most of how someone treats us has to do with where they are with themselves, not with us. We need to break free from being affected by how others behave toward us. Habits can hold us back. What we think we have to do or have to be okay. I've got to have my coffee or I can't start the day. I don't feel like I've had a meal without dessert. I can't sleep without Tylenol PM. The more we have to have is that much more we have to be okay. I'm not saying we should not do or not have these things. It's just when we can't do without them that they become a part of the rope holding us back. Other categories of things that restrain us at times have to do with things we feel we have to do that take up time we could be using better for ourselves, such as having to watch certain TV programs or needing to do certain tasks. Our handling of crisis also takes a toll on us, given the things that happen. While hiking along the Pacific coast, a bus ran through a large puddle of water in the street right next to myself and the other two I was with. It was a puddle left from a recent rain. That bus soaked us from head to toe. We watched the bus driver laughing. Intentional? Locking the keys in the car. Getting a ticket that felt undeserved. The person ahead of us taking the last item we needed off the shelf. How do we relax with things like that rob us of peace and contentment the Spirit within wants us to know? How we handle situations of these says a lot about our adjustment to the unexpected. This, by the way, is when we discover a lot about ourselves. More people are reminded they swear at these moments than any other time. What about the things in our past we don't let ourselves forget that we beat ourselves up over? What we did, we didn't need to do. What we didn't do, we needed to do. The ways we respond to how others treat us and things we think they feel. But that's enough about the look at the back past stuff that we're moving away from. Like when they moved away from the British and started to look toward what our country can be. Now, how can we look at all of the future as we move ahead? The most important realization is we don't have to deal with any past incidents. None of them. None of anything that happened in the past is here right now. It is actually not real because it's just existing in our thoughts. Nothing from the past is actual at this moment. It is as if the rope or leash has been cut. Picture the dog all of a sudden free to take off doing whatever it wanted. This is the freedom we have when we let go of everything that is and has been holding us back. I remember one YouTube where it showed a dog who had been chained for a long time, and when they took the collar off, the dog didn't ever get that he could move away from the post where he had been tied. We get so used to being tied down with some of the things that we've been connected to that even when we break away from them or could break away from them, we stay right in that same place. When we broke from Britain, we turned from looking back overseas to looking across our country. All of that was open to our future citizens who at that time were settling down in America. Our option and our privilege is to see ourselves as God sees us. We are the least objective when looking at ourselves. Why is it so hard for us to get that it is only our present and future that matters to God and should also be what matters to us? The only thing that matters is how we perform and learn now. God only pays attention to what we do, not to what we've done. I don't want to look at what you can't do, God would say. I see what you can do. That's what I look at. It is so important for each of us to realize God is only paying attention to what we can do, what we are doing. But that can do may be much different than what we might see as important. If our major contributions are to be big, noticeable successes, we aren't doing very well. But that is not what it is with God. With God, just being loving and kind is the big thing. And it is much more important than making money or being a visible community contributor or recognized person. God's potential for us is the kind of persons we are. That is the top priority. Anyone can get an A in loving, forgiving, helping, and caring. The freedom we are all able to experience is not from having everything we want or doing everything we dream of. It is being the person we want to be, the person we are. We are free to be the kind of persons God wants us to be. How big is that? We align ourselves with God's presence within and the best possible life possible. Maybe not the most exciting, maybe not the most thrilling, but the most satisfactory, the most fulfilling, the most loving, the most joyful. In the middle of all this COVID-19 thing, we can be a spirit of love and hope, a bright spot wherever we are. We want to jump into the God life as it can be known and experienced. So we ask the Spirit within to help us untie the rope that seems to be holding us back. We want to be free to jump at this exceptional God life opportunity. No one has trouble seeing in their minds a chained dog straining against a rope, wanting to break free to chase a cat. I'm sure the spiritual dimension wonders why we are not that anxious to get what God has for everyone who wants it. If we would know what God has for us, we would be as excited as children on Christmas Eve. Many of us have tasted this God connection, and we want more. An enviable goal, and we are all in it, and we are finding it. And so it is.
You've come into my life I believe we'll know each other for more than just a season.
What I want from you is what I hope we'll see.
That we'll be great friends forever. We listen, laugh, and cry as our stories we share. We encourage each other and show that we really care.
Each moment we spend together builds our friendship more.
So we'll be great friends forever. Time keeps pressing forward in its own defined way. Over our aging, we don't have much say. We can share life day by day. When we accept each other, then we can be free to be our truest selves, the best that we can be.
What I offer you, I know you'll give to me.
And we'll be great friends forever. Yes, we'll be great friends, such